6:30 in Newfoundland.
Happy Tuesday. Welcome to Toque Talk
today.
Oh, wow.
Were you building something there today, Shane?
No, it's not Canadian. It's DeWalt, so I imagine it's probably made in China, but
hey, whatever. It's building. You're a Canadian artifact.
made in Malaysia. How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
How's everybody?
Great.
Good.
Hot as F out here in SoCal today.
How hot is it there?
It's 4 degrees cooler than Las Vegas. That's how hot it is. 106.
Whoa. Wow.
So I imagine what, 38-ish something?
It says 108 here, so I don't know if that's I don't know how it's just generally in my area, so I don't know if that's different than what are you hearing? It says real feel 115.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
No, we're at 105.
It's only
bottom line, do you guys have AC going?
Oh
yes.
You know.
Big time. That's impossible not to. Vegas is like one of those towns that no, you just can't live without it, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty warm here. It was pretty warm last week too. I missed you guys.
Hey, we started with the weather. Remember? Someone was commenting on how we always start with the weather.
Yeah, we had, somebody said, "Do you guys realize that you start every single episode talking about the first 10 minutes talking about the weather?"
But that also I think is a Canadian thing because that's what you always do, right? How's the weather where you are?
Usually I'm fascinated to see what it's like in Winnipeg mostly. So it usually starts with me going, Darren, what's it like in Winnipeg? But,
because I'm sure you guys are like, well, it's warm. It's mediocre warm. It's kind of windy, but up here it could be plus 30 or minus 19. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Snowing, hailstorm, whatever. Yeah, exactly. So
exactly. Well, was that 10 minutes? No, it's not even 5 minutes on the weather. Come on. Well, Brent, congrats on August 14th. Yeah. Thank you, Susie. That's good to hear. Yeah, big news. Was it August 14th or 14th? I'm sorry.
Yep.
You might want to fill in everybody else who doesn't know what that means.
All right. Yes. We are playing our first show since Telemiracle when COVID sent us all packing. Mm-hmm. And we're playing in Edmonton for Rockfest August 14th, along with the great Tom Cochrane and Red Rider. That's cool. Mm-hmm. Glass Tiger.
That's right.
Prism, our good friend Al Harlow and guests. And other bands and Toque.
That's right. Somebody commented on, is it weird when you guys got to play with people that you play the music of? I go, well, we only play, we have recorded Lunatic Fringe by Red Rider, Tom Cochrane's band, and we do a version of Armageddon by Prism. So that's 2 songs. We have 1,000 other songs. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
We're going to play them anyway.
Go on before them and play all their hits, right? So they have nothing to close the show with.
That's right. We're going to play them anyway.
Exactly.
Piss everybody off.
That would be a big no-no.
Well, here's a funny. We got some time to kill here today because we've got a couple of people running late. Throw this out to you: if you were to cover a Glass Tiger song, what would you do?
Well,
how familiar are with the catalog, and would you?
I'm pretty familiar with the first album when it came out. My band at the time, just kids playing in high school dances, we played "Don't Forget Me When I'm Gone." You had to; it was a massive song.
Yep.
The girls liked that song, so yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, they were one of those bands that kind of got away from me at the time because obviously heavily influenced by other bands. And you guys were playing Harborfest a couple years ago in Kenora, I remember, and they were on after you. And I remember walking down to the stage and I caught them playing, and they were doing a song called Animal Heart, which I completely forgot all about. And I just thought, what a great tune. And they did such a great job of it. And they were actually spot on. So
sing it for us.
Also this one. This is a big hit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Sorry to cut you off, Darren.
No.
Yeah, that's a good one.
What's the chorus in that song? We're going to get shut down
this is when copyright infringement shuts us down.
I'll sing it to you.
Yeah, sing it.
Someday.
Yes, that's it.
You'll
be sounding our tears cry over you. Someday.
Yeah,
that's it.
I remember that. Yeah.
Valina Davidson, thank you for Someday.
That was a good song.
Someday. Yeah.
Yep.
Someday.
Right on. So we got that, and that means
yes.
other shows are to follow.
Oh yeah,
that's a
this
good
is
one.
later, right?
Everybody likes
Wow.
that chord progression. That was the '80s chord progression.
Yeah. It's the big chorus is that, and the it reminds me a lot of what was that Honeymoon Suite song that had the same kind of big chorus there.
Feel It Again.
No, not Feel It Again, but it was
Bad Attitude.
no. It was later, like later '90s.
Burning in Love. Oh, later in the '90s.
No, sorry,
Oh.
was it later '80s? My bad.
I think I know what you're talking like around that Lethal Weapon period.
Terry had that wicked solo there. That
Oh, yeah.
All the solos are wicked.
I know, but everybody was like, "Somebody, come on, help me!"
Well, I'll help you right now.
Yeah.
I don't know, but we could. Yeah.
Honeymoon Suite. Was there a video for it?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, talk amongst yourselves.
Okay.
I'm looking to see if anybody can chime in on this one.
So, what year are we talking? 90s?
Somebody says "Looking Out for Number One." Is that one of their tunes?
No, it was.
Oh yeah,
That's
"Looking Out for Number One." I remember that one. Lee Beaupre.
That's this time. Da, 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 da. Yeah, that was a good song. I don't know, actually. I'm
I Will
kinda
Be
drawn.
There.
No, I'll find it here.
Is it on the Racing After Midnight 1988
Love
album
changes
or something?
everything.
Oh, now I know.
Yeah.
Love changes everything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's a good
wow.
one. But yeah, you're right. Same kind of chord progression.
We
What
just
year was
rattled
that?
something loose.
Was that like
Uh,
90s at that point, or is it still?
Huh?
80s.
I don't
That's-
remember what
It was right around that transitional period, that late
Yeah.
'80s, where kind of there was everybody trying to find their way.
And then
You
all
know,
of a sudden, you just could not do that. It was
Yeah,
like,
number one band in Canada, and they were. I always loved the band, but Haywire. Remember, they just could never really
Yeah.
find their spot. Right? They started out kind of They started out kind of doing the whole Duran kind of thing, and then they had to move into the and then by 1989 they're standing on a cliff singing "Short End of a Wishbone," and just could never really find their look or their But what a great band, and just never really got their.
Great singer.
One
Yeah.
of the very first time I saw Todd play live with the Infants, you were doing which one?
The band
did-
wasn't called the Infants. I was actually playing with infants. It was part of my act. I'd be up there with babies.
But you did two songs.
Was that a Michael Jackson tribute band?
And scene.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was bad.
No, it was I think we did Bad Boy. Bad Boy.
Yeah, you did that one, and then you did "Turn Me Away, but I'll never be standing alone."
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
That's a good
That was
one.
a good one.
I forgot about it. Is that the first album?
I think both those were right. Were they in the same album? Same album? No?
Bad Boys was definitely first
I think so.
album.
I remember that. I remember that video because it had that real retro '80s kind of,
That's right.
the real green screen. I think they were one of like the first bands to do that kind of green screen.
Kind of
footage.
like a little bit of like What You Need by INXS kind of looking video or something.
Yeah,
like that.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny when you think about that. Like being in a cover band back then, you played a lot of Canadian music. Like when you say that, I'm like, yeah, of course we played all that because those were really popular songs. They were as popular as
Black and Blue.
Black and Blue. Is
Yeah.
that a Haywire song?
Black and blue.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah,
Colors of love. There would have been wrong.
yeah.
That was a
I
good
forgot
one.
about that one. Wow.
Black and blue.
We got to find somebody from
Oh, yeah.
Haywire to be on here.
How about this one?
Dance
the needle.
Yeah.
Well,
And
you
then
remember
Rex-
who was the rapper that used that? He sampled that at the beginning of that. That "Drop the Needle." That was that.
Maestro Fresh West. Hello.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
From Haywire song.
Yeah, he used the "Drop the Needle" as the hook. Drop
Right.
the needle. It was like it was his thing. Yeah, Maestro Fresh West.
Was he Canadian? I guess it
He's
was,
a
right?
Toronto guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
A couple
Yeah.
years ago, Haywire and I think it was Haywire and Helix and Honeymoon Suite, something like that. It was some trio. I saw them here in Winnipeg, and they're still great. I guess they hadn't done much for a while, but yeah, it was.
We should try and find a Haywire guy. What was the singer's name again? I can't remember.
I think he's. What the fuck is his name?
It's another classic Canadian lineup: lead singer, guitar player, bass player, drummer, and keyboard player.
Okay, Google.
5
Who
piece.
was the lead singer for Haywire? Paul McCausland?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Huh.
That sounds right.
Okay, Google, stop.
I opened for them in Cranbrook, BC, about 1,000 years ago. It was like, I don't even remember when it was, but it was like a kind of an arena. I can't remember, but it was like it was a big deal. Anyway, it was a big deal.
Apparently he lives in Newfoundland now.
Does
I think he was from out there, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. The whole band was Maritimes, I remember that anyway.
So he'll be watching at 6:30.
We should get him on. Anybody got his contact info?
What's his? How do you spell his last name?
I've got him on Facebook, so I.
Oh, there you go.
Boom.
That's probably the
He has
easiest
such
way.
a great voice.
He really did. Probably still does. Yeah. I was going to say, so we have. Here's an interesting conversation. Hopefully, we'll be able to cross the border for our gig on August 14th.
There's a good point.
I assume
What's
that
happening lately?
it's starting to lighten up like anywhere else, but it's we still don't have a real green light. The plan is to try and be up there for.
Wasn't it the 20th? They were going to try and open it, or they have to
think
reassess?
so. Of June, I think they were going to try and of July try and open up the borders at least for vaccinated. Blah 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 blah. So I'm assuming by August 14th we should be fine.
You might be in luck actually, because things are looking up. They just announced that they're reopening the provincial borders between Manitoba and Ontario, which have been closed for a while. So that's happening as of tomorrow. So I mean, things are on the up and up. So
that's great. I mean, down here it's what's it like in LA? Because Vegas is 100% open.
I was going to say today is a momentous day because today they said you don't have to wear a mask indoors in any places except for hospitals, on buses, public transportation, that's the type of thing. The airport, yeah. But restaurants just going like normal.
Yeah,
it's awesome, exciting.
That's what we've been doing. It's to be honest, it's surreal at first. You're like, oh, should I wear? Because some people are wearing masks, but then you go in and you're just like, you kind of forget. Like anything else, you just kind of assimilate to the way things were.
I'm throwing a link in the chat here if you guys want to go check it out.
What is it?
This is the Haywire song that I had actually filmed at that show, and they sound really good. So yeah.
Wow. Cool.
Okay. Cool.
That's a handy thing to look at. Well, I'd play it. We should play it now, but then we'll get shut down. We can't do that.
I don't know. I mean, they know how hard it is to find any of this stuff when they were.
That's true.
I don't even think.
And the fact you filmed it probably.
Yeah, exactly. So I own it now. Yeah.
You want to come up here? Exactly. It's your copyright.
Sorry, Paul. Actually, this was, I think, their first show back after years, and this was the one they opened with. And he even said himself, you could see how kind of nervous he was after all those years, kind of coming up and playing it. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Maybe
this guy's spending the day in here with me.
I'll definitely check that out.
This guy's spending the day in here with me today.
Aw, hi, buddy.
He's huge now, dude. Do you remember when you came at Christmas time? He's like this big now.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
How are his claws? His claws getting pretty long.
We just took him to have him trimmed yesterday because he gets pretty out of control.
Yeah.
He likes to have a good fight.
Does he?
Yeah, you're a good boy.
Yeah, some of them are passive, and then some of them just go crazy.
Here's a song. Actually, would be a good one. Here, I'll put some of this. I'll just show a little bit of a clip of this here so you can see it.
Play it until we get.
Remember this song?
I do.
I don't.
It's called Fire. Great chorus. Great chorus.
Yep.
Remember that one?
That's on the first album too. Yeah.
Great.
I have
I
the
think
link
it's
to
on
the
that
whole,
first
the
album,
whole
too.
song on there. You can go and check that link out if anybody wants to watch more. But
He's
yeah,
not unlike Freddie Kersey, actually. It's the same kind of smoothness to his voice and
Yeah.
range. Hit a really high range.
Totally.
You won't find me.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, yeah, it's hot.
standing in line.
We're selling a lot of records for Haywire today, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody's going to be out like, oh, I better check these guys out. Or a lot of downloads, probably, in this day and age.
Well, you know, they have some great summertime, soundtrack songs. So go download the greatest hits Haywire, and you won't be disappointed.
Yeah.
I ordered a shirt off these guys the other day.
Oh, wow.
If you all remember, the Le Studio was the name of the studio in Morin Heights, Quebec. That you buy. I think they're trying to fix it up because it's some disrepair. But like the video for like Tom Sawyer by Rush is recorded up there. They did like Synchronicity by the Police was recorded. A lot of records were recorded there. Now it's like literally. I was watching some footage the other day of before Neil Peart passed away, and he was showing. They were like looking in the window like of this abandoned studio. He goes, the piano's still in here. And it was weird looking at it because you remember it so perfectly from that Tom Sawyer video, you know? And it's just sort of like in a state of disrepair, just abandoned. And I guess they're trying to raise some money to try and...
We had someone on the show that was telling us about that, right? They recorded there back in the day, and then they'd been there, or they knew that it was being renovated.
Who was that? I don't remember. It's funny because there's information like contact information. I'm going to try and post at some point to kind of.
Yeah, I kind of remember that.
Ivan, was it? Ivan? Was
it might have been Ivan from Men Without Hats.
Hey, did April Wine record a video there?
Yeah, I think they did. I think they might have done like. I can't remember the song. I want to say. I think it was on like To Rock. There you go. Wow.
Great record.
Yeah.
Hey, is that the Brian Allen from Toronto?
Toronto, the band Toronto? That'd be hilarious. Avid Toque Talk watcher, Brian Allen, songwriter, guitar player.
No, I think his name's with an E, B-R-E.
That's right.
B-R-I-E, yeah.
I know, isn't it A-L-L-E-N? I don't know. We'll have to take
A-L-L, that's what his is.
Oh, is it? Well, then it's him.
But no, Brian is with an A, not an E.
I am not.
Brian. Where are you from then, Brian? Where's Brian from? I'm curious to know where he's from.
Brian, where are you from? But yeah, I'm an avid follower. Yeah.
Okay, good. Smart guy. He's got a good head on his shoulders.
I'm not seeing these replies. You have to put them up. Whatever he says he's from, I'm going to think that's the name of his band. He's in a band called Arborg, Manitoba.
Just Arborg. That sounds pretty killer for a name.
That does sounds like a very prog kind of.
Yeah.
Arborg
on tour with Dream Theater this summer.
Awesome. Arborg.
I wonder if he can sing like Brian Allen though. Remember Still Talking About Love? Girl, you know that it's over.
That's right.
I'm wasting my time.
Wow, he had like kind of almost a Michael McDonald kind of big voice.
He kind of did, yeah, totally.
You kind of sounded like Mark Wahlberg. Remember when he was in Daddy's Home and he had to sing the jingle there for the smooth jazz?
Totally.
Did we ever
talking about
April Wine? Anybody? That'd be so
What's
awesome.
that?
Get one of those dudes. Get one of the April Wine guys on the show.
Oh, we're always trying to get Miles, but Miles is he's elusive. Not. He's an elusive one. He's elusive. You know what? You know where I find Miles? Oddly enough, he's always on the Fury Guitar on Facebook. Fury Guitars was a company from Saskatoon.
Yeah.
That is being rebooted because the owner passed away. But anyway, he's just an avid collector of these guitars. So I always see him on there whenever I'm hovering around that kind of area. And I'm always like, there he is, Miles Goodwin, the lead singer. We did a with Slash, we did a festival of some sort a couple years ago, and April Wine was there. But it's like Brian and Miles from the original lineup, and then it's some younger guys. But yeah, I hear they're fantastic.
Speaking of fantastic, our guest has finally arrived. Looks like.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Well, Nah,
Awesome.
I'm not sure we're ready for him. Just kidding.
No. We're going to make him wait a little bit now.
Yeah, just kidding. It's funny because we were talking before the show how we've all gone down this rabbit hole of the spoons this week because we were all, okay, well, Gord's going to be on this week. Oh, cool. And we all kind of found ourselves just completely transplanted back to that particular moment, and like we were saying, all like punk rock, hard rock guys still singing along to those catchy Canadian tunes. I guess I'll turn this into my introduction. Does that work?
Yeah, there you go.
Is he ready? He's probably like,
I see. He's in the feed here. Yeah,
he's wolfing down a sandwich or something.
His feed looks gray though. Is he got video going on?
Do you think that's how he eats everything with a spoon? Is that why you?
I started with something else, then I landed on sandwich. I don't know. Yeah. That's how I eat a sandwich. Is that not right?
Well, I guess if you're Gord, you have to eat everything with a spoon. Yeah.
Do. There you go. Dave Bedard from Winnipeg. Anyway, this guy's the lead singer and probably primary songwriter. I didn't do a whole lot of digging into the credits of the songs, but I assume so. Of a great group from the Ontario region. I always thought they were English at first when they first came around because it sounded so, like we were just saying, Ultravox and OMD and bands like that. They sounded like they were from somewhere else, but they were one of ours. And he actually currently plays guitar on occasion with Flock of Seagulls. Did you guys know that?
I did. That's
a true story.
Pretty cool.
I just learned that today when I read through the notes. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? But ladies and gentlemen, from the Spoons, Gord Deppe. This will be exciting.
Hey.
Wow. Can you see me? I can't. I'm all black. My screen's all dark. And can you see me though?
No, we can't see you. Is it
like black? A little bit.
I was there for a while. I don't know what's changed, but
it's like a witness protection program video or something.
I'm trying to disguise my voice from the cartel.
Yeah, do that. Well, I first met the band.
Well, I was on the screen for a while. How do you get me back?
How do we do that?
You want to? There should be an option to turn your camera on.
Yeah, it says it's on. Now it says it's off.
Oh, okay. Try it again.
No.
It says with audio. Hang on. How does this work? I'm going to look at my own to see what happens.
Want me to leave and come back and see what happens?
Yeah, try that. That always works.
First of all, what are you joining us on there? Oh, okay.
Oh, he's gone.
Is he on a phone or?
He waited for you to start talking before he shut you off.
Yeah.
What's that guy saying?
Click. That was really funny, Todd. Your witness protection voice.
Well, when we first started the spoon, do the whole video like that. Is Revenue Canada after him? What's going on?
Revenue Canada.
Oh, Jesus.
For those watching, Revenue Canada is kind of like the IRS.
There he is.
All right.
All right.
Hey!
Hey, welcome.
Well, we can't.
Are these all guests or are you guys all hosts?
Yeah, we're all hosts. I don't know if we ever gave you. I don't know if we ever gave you the background, but that's Corey Churko on guitar. He plays with Shania Twain and Kelly Clarkson.
Cool.
Shane on drums. He plays with a band called the Bees from Japan sometimes.
Good.
And Yngwie Malmsteen, and yeah, he did play with it. And Michael Schenker. And I'm Todd, and I play with Slash. And I was in a Canadian group called the Age of Electric, but.
I'm Darren. I'm Darren. I play with myself.
And Darren is the guy that makes this all happen. And I'm so happy your camera works because we were so like, until we watched some of your footage and we were like, how does he look exactly the same? It's driving us nuts.
I'm sorry, guys. I apologize for being late. I should have been back a long time ago. Doctor appointment in Toronto with my wife, and
No, that's all right. Honestly, it's there's no trouble killing time around here with the talking. There's a lot of talking.
Traffic is any gauge of COVID is getting over with. It's back to normal traffic wise. So
isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
like my wife's family's from Hamilton, and a lot of my friends are relocating to Hamilton from Toronto, and that trip from Hamilton to Toronto can be like really brief or a real drag.
It's a real center for musicians because the real estate's still pretty good there.
It is, yeah.
And another cool thing, I know I don't want to digress yet, but is we played the Cavern Club with the Flock a couple of years ago.
Oh,
and,
cool.
We got inducted into their Wall of Shame, whatever. And
cool.
We were told that they were going to franchise the
Cavern
Club thing, and Hamilton was one of the first places they were thinking.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wonder
I guess
why.
somebody made a petition for it, and it's kind of a steel town like Liverpool, you know,
Sure, yeah.
kind of place. Yeah. So, anyway,
That's so cool.
that
Wow.
would be really cool. Yeah.
Where are you? Where are you currently? What's your
Oakville.
address?
Oakville.
Oh, you're in Oakville. Okay.
Halfway
No.
between Hamilton and Toronto.
Of course, yeah, I know where that is. That's great. Well, at least you're not all the way out in Hamilton.
Your favorite
Yeah.
musician, Drake, lives just down like 10 minutes from me here somewhere.
Okay.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. That's
Okay, my first question: spoons or the spoons?
Ooh.
Oh.
Doesn't matter.
Like if somebody's on stage, welcome the Spoons, you know, but then on an album it just says Spoons. So
Right.
That is true. That is true. Yeah.
it's
It always
kind of
just
a
said
weird thing.
spoons.
Yeah.
We just want to say it the right way because we want to be cool.
Oh,
Yes.
you can see what I tell you. For a long time, I thought, what did we pick a stupid name like that for? It was because you know, especially with our symphonies and that stuff, it was a lot more grand and big, and instead of some little weird thing. But you know what? It was a name that kind of it's not easy to forget. You know.
True.
It's
And it
very
is
important.
pretty.
You don't associate it with a spoon, though. I at least I never did.
No,
I don't
no.
think,
You can make it something else.
Yeah,
Like,
big spoon,
Yeah.
small spoon. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, spoons.
Yeah.
Yeah. A spoon's a universal thing too. Everybody knows what a spoon is, so it kind of works out pretty
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
And plus, the Cars and bands like that.
Exactly.
There was,
That's the thinking we had behind it. Yeah.
Of course, yeah. So you grew up in Ontario proper. Where were you born? There was a lot of discussion about this.
I was born in Vancouver.
Oh, you
Oh,
were
wow.
okay, because
Yeah.
there was actually like somebody reported that they thought you might have been born in Germany, and we were like, well, that'd
I
be
lived
interesting.
there. I lived there for like 7 years, something like that.
Is that right? How'd that happen, or how'd that work?
My parents were from Germany, and they were just visiting. My dad was working in Canada and stayed like a year. I don't remember anything about that part of it, but
Of course,
and then
yeah.
we came back in '67. So I was over there, But the cool thing is, we lived in a place called Lübeck, which is up on the Baltic Sea, about an hour from Hamburg.
Wow.
And I still remember vividly, like sitting in my sandbox playing with bugs and cars, and my parents reading from the Spiegel magazine about this band called the Beatles playing in Hamburg, right?
Oh, wow.
That was '64, I guess it was, or something like that.
Wow.
And
yeah.
I swear to God, I was thinking like, what does music have to do with bugs? Like bugs. And like I said to other people later on, it's as much as spoons do, right? It becomes something else. And
It's funny that you say that, because not that long ago I saw a tweet from somebody that said like, this just blew my mind, and they had they kind of like enhanced the BEAT part of Beatles. So like 60 years later, somebody found out or figured out that Beatles with the word beat as in
beat,
like
yeah.
beat music was in the name the Beatles, and they just kind of just figured that out. And I was like, it is something we don't think about, but it's always been there.
yeah, it's like
hasn't
I was looking at a commercial for Amazon or something. You see there's an arrow going from the A to Z. So, oh,
That's
I never
right.
saw that before.
it? That's right. And that's on purpose. There's something going on there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All
Yeah.
good marketing, subliminal marketing. Yeah.
Subliminal.
I don't know why.
Explains it. I've always wondered why they chose the name Amazon, but you're absolutely right. Everything from A to Z.
Yeah,
Let's-
it
I
just
saw
blew
that
your
now,
mind.
like recently.
Yeah.
I always thought it was a dumb name. I'm like, why?
Hey,
would
let's
I
all-
name it Amazon.
Let's all take a break and order something from Amazon, okay?
This
The power
portion
of
Toque
advertising.
Talk-
Has anybody ordered a guitar from Amazon? I can't figure that one out.
They have guitars on
You
Amazon?
gotta feel it, right? Oh yeah,
Amazing.
you can order anything you want. Gibson's, Fenders, whatever you want.
That's true. I have ordered guitars before. It is a crapshoot, and it can be disappointing. There's some cool stuff behind you. Is that a purple Firebird you've got going on back there?
Yeah, the Firebirds have been my favorite guitars. I got like 4 of them. I keep one in the States at the Flock, and I got 3 here. But this is probably the cheapest one, but the one I've had the most fun with. Are you into gear and stuff, or what?
Oh, totally. Look at this.
But I made it into like a working guitar, because I kind of missed having a tremolo. So what I did.
Oh, that's sick, dude.
There's a brand of guitar called Cower, which I can't afford.
Oh, yeah, Cower.
Got the right one. So
Yep.
what I did.
Jam.
Yeah. Here we go. There you go.
Oh,
yeah, there you go.
yeah.
Nice.
So
Same.
what I did is I combined. I don't like drilling holes in my guitars,
No.
so I put a Duesenberg bridge.
Oh,
Thing.
Cool.
yeah, that is
And
an
then
interesting.
use just the plate part from Vibrola,
Okay.
Maestro Vibrola aftermarket, and just sort of lightly attached it with like Velcro or something.
Really?
It looks great. It looks very
Really?
It looks amazing. Is that
That's cool.
Is that a stock finish, or did you
it's
paint?
a rare one. I want to get the Pelham Blue, but this is called Heather Mist. First
Wow,
I
that's
thought,
beautiful.
no, but then,
Cool,
then I
yeah.
realized
That's gorgeous.
no other ones like it.
Kinda
I really
cool.
like that.
And those are full-on humbuckers. They're not the
No, they're not those
Firebird
mini.
Yeah.
Are those mini humbuckers in that thing? Mini humbuckers in yours?
They're full ones. They're actually the ceramic ones, which usually I swap out, but they sound great. They sound good.
I was actually going to bring this up because I think it's always interesting that you, as a guitar player, have always been sort of underrated. When I watch you in the videos or listen to you on the records, every once in a while you'll throw down and I'll be like, hey, that guy can play guitar. It's not just kind of like,
it's a funny thing because you kind of restrict it to, with the Spoons or even Flock of Seagulls. Like we do these tours and I'll come off stage. There's some really good guitar players, like with Wang Chung. There's a guy named Gareth Moulton. He used to play with Cunning Crews, a really tasty player, right? But he knows what I'm doing. I'm playing and he said, "Oh, you're really great." He said, "Yeah, all 3 notes." But you got to know you got to play your part, right? You don't. I'm not going to start noodling and stuff.
I know. Yeah. Play for the song, as it were. Yeah. Exactly. No, but it is.
But if I have to,
Was that triple pickup Les Paul yours back then?
Yeah.
That was your. I was like, when I saw it, I go, is this like some young kid who said, "I'll take that one from the guitar wall"?
No, that was the first guitar I bought as a kid. I think I was 16.
Wow.
At a music store, and they let me pay it off like $25 a week or something.
Wow. Yeah, because those wouldn't have been cheap. Well, I don't know. Actually, in the '80s, Les Pauls were kind of more affordable, weren't they?
Well, that was like $800 back then, which was a lot. But
that is, yeah, $800.
You want to see it? It's still here.
Yeah, I do actually. That thing would be worth $10,000 now or something.
I have the feeling you guys are all gearheads like me. I don't know.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. This is embarrassing behind me, but yeah, no, that's actually really funny because I was going to ask if he still has that same Les Paul because I saw it and I was like, man, if you still got that guitar, that thing's. So was it? It was brand new at the time, so 80 something.
Oh yeah,
or
74.
Oh, it's a 74.
Well,
Damn.
I had to take him back. I had the third pickup added, and I had to take him back out again.
Okay. Oh, cool! Wow.
I don't
Gets in the way.
Of it. You know why
it feels
I
bad.
had the third pickup put in? Partially because of Peter Frampton, but also Uriah Heep. I was a fan like Uriah Heep. The guy had the 3 pickups.
Yeah. So did Ace Frehley.
Ace Frehley, yeah.
I always wanted one because of Ace.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
But you know what my latest thing is? It's Jaguars.
No, you're breaking up on me.
Jaguars is the cheapest, roughest, most difficult to play guitar I've ever had. But that makes it amazing because if you've been playing all your life, it's the best thing to do. Pick it up. It's a struggle. You feel like a kid learning to play again. It's great.
Totally. You're talking about a Fender Jaguar?
It's the hardest. It's full of warts and squeaks and rattles, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who were the guys you were listening to when you were growing up, guitar players?
Well, I was a prog rock guy. So Steve Hackett pretty well was my guy.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. I just textures and stuff like that,
Yeah.
I didn't realize you needed pedals to get all this stuff as a kid, right? Because I'd be struggling at home with my little amp going, why can't I make it sound like big and reverb or delay and distorted without blowing up my speaker? And because I just used my parents' stereo as a kid.
Oh, wow.
You plugged into your parents' stereo?
Yeah, it wasn't even a proper stereo. It was like I think it was Dual, the German company, and you take the lid off. There was a speaker in it.
Amazing.
I could switch the jack so I could plug into that. And if I pushed hard enough, I could make it distort until they just blew it up. Right?
Hey, whatever works.
My first guitar amp.
The first rock guy for me, even before Hendrix, all this stuff was definitely Richie Blackmore.
Oh yeah,
my guy.
Yeah.
Still I think it's just something fluid about him. That's just
Yeah, he's kind of the man, isn't he? Yeah.
So if you were into that kind of stuff, how come you went into more of the new wave sort of thing? Because you realized that you have the perfect voice for that, right?
No, not at all. You know what?
No?
It was I wasn't even the singer at the beginning of my musical
wow.
life. I was way too shy and introverted to even think about it. But I wrote songs all the time. But it was a natural progression out of prog rock. Some of the same elements Sandy and I were using in progressive rock bands. We had a band called Trist. We had the Taurus bass pedals. Remember those things?
Cool. Yeah.
Nova Heart was one of our first hits into the 80s. We still used the Taurus. They had the Taurus bass pedals in there.
Cool.
Some of the same, what do you call it, keyboards. So I wasn't into mainstream music at all. The rest of my friends were listening the Beach Boys and America and the Eagles. And I'm I need something dark. And, I was raised on, even as a kid, I like the darker stuff that came on, like Rock Concert or Midnight Special. I'd wait for I don't know, but the more quirky stuff, whether it was Bowie or Uriah Heep but I love Old Sabbath, really old Sabbath, that stuff.
Totally. Yeah.
So yeah, that's stuff I gravitated towards. So when New Wave came around, and I knew that we could never do anything with our prog rock stuff. It was for the basement and our friends, right? Like 20-minute songs and stuff. So all of a sudden, New Wave came. It's like, wow, there's elements, you know. And I'm hearing bands like you mentioned, Ultravox and stuff like that, going, oh, they got sort of that moodiness of the prog rock stuff, right? And it felt really easy for us to slip into that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I suppose that you couldn't help but be somewhat inspired by a lot of that music that was coming. Like I was saying earlier, I thought you guys were originally English. I was like, these guys. And it wasn't until somebody said, no, they're from Toronto. And I go, Toronto, Canada? Is there a Toronto? Because it was not, you guys seemed to be standing alone in that scene when you first came around. Yeah.
Well, it's because we were raised on like, you know, Genesis and that kind of stuff, which is British, and then slipped into all the British. It's because CFNY FM was the big radio station in Toronto. Right. And they were getting stuff probably before the rest of America. Maybe rock in LA was getting a little bit of it. We were getting stuff. And to us, that was the world. Like that was the standard.
Yeah.
But we didn't realize the rest of America and the state or Canada was still listening to, you know, mainstream Casey Kasem kind of stuff, right?
Of course, yeah.
So for us, like the Flying Lizards and the Two Boy Army and all this stuff was like, yeah, that's normal. That's top 40 for me. You know?
Yeah.
So our first album, you know, I have to say, was not very radio friendly. We didn't care. You know, we just wanted to be different but because of that, we went number one on college radio because they like different, you know.
Sure, yeah.
And then CFNY noticed us because we're, you know, different. Like I remember Dave Marsden going, "Can you believe these guys are from Burlington, Ontario?" Like what is this thing, you know?
That's so cool. Such an original sounding like left turn from everything that was going on up until that point. It was like, like I remember hearing it because I was that Sabbath kid listening to Master of Reality, and then it was like Nova Heart came on when I was working at Tomboy scrubbing the floor. So I was going, well, I'm a metal guy. I really like this. This is
so that's great. I'd love to hear that because that's the biggest compliment for me. I don't want to be. We were never the best guitar player, the best singer, best band, whatever. You got to find that thing, you know, and just hold on to it for dear life. And we did, you know. And I listen back sometimes. I used to remember when we made albums going like, oh, why don't we have this sound? Why don't we have the same gated snare thing and the same Fairlight keyboard sound? And now when I listen to 80s stations, I realize all these bands got the same sounds, but we didn't. Not because we couldn't afford them or because we didn't have access to them, but it was a good thing because we had to sort of make do with less. And you know what our first drum machine was?
What?
It was, you know, those home organs that, you know, your grandmother would have.
Yeah.
But then like settings like Foxtrot, the Samba. We found like one or two that were okay. Yeah, that were, you know, Samba. And I just put them on my cassette tape recorder, like a loop.
No way.
And then we play along with that.
No way.
That's amazing.
Wow.
But then John Punter came over, who just done like Roxy Music and Japan, which is another cool band that he kind of took it to the same process that we did, because before we met him, we were kind of raw and punky and weird, and then he made us more sort of sophisticated, and that's what he did with Japan, you know, with early stuff that was very raw. So he brought over the 808 drum machine. Actually, the one before that, I forget the name of it, was a bigger box, and he introduced us to that, and that was kind of a key part of Nova Heart, really. That was the whole one of the first times that hand clap sound was ever used. You know, still being used now in hip hop and whatever. You know?
Yeah, totally. How did you get connected to him, by the way? Was that through the label at that point, or was that? No,
it was just through the label. He was over here. He was also a really good sound man. He was doing, I think, I just can't remember the name of the band.
I had no idea. He was
from Scotland, I think they're called.
Nazareth?
Nazareth. Yeah.
Oh, okay. There you go. Wow.
Good guess.
Really? Wow. Well, hard rock band from Nazareth back then, I'm like, well, that's got to be Nazareth.
Yeah, they were and notorious for being the biggest drinkers and the loudest.
Well, they're Scottish.
But you know, you think what, Spoons and Nazareth? No, but he done Japan, he done Roxy Music, he done all kinds of stuff. He worked on Procol Harum.
Really? Wow. That's
he was under George Martin's wing growing up.
Right. Yeah.
Under Decca Records and stuff. Actually, when we did the arias, this is one of those things. I wrote a book about the Spoons, and it's funny how things happen when you're a kid and you go, oh, whatever, you know, like,
right.
And then when you think back like 30, 40 years ago, what, that happened? Like, we were recording in Air Studios in London, and George Martin walked in, you know, with his shirt rolled up, and he shook our hands, and, you know, like, these are the kids, and, like, you know, moved on. And at the time, I was like, ooh, you know, whatever. And now I'm like,
It is funny, right? Like, you just, But at the same time, what the hell are you going to say to him? The funny thing is that when you think about it in terms of like, you know, how old was Air Studios at that point? Like, how long had it been around? Not that long. It didn't. I mean, I guess a little while.
I mean, there's a bunch of Air Studios. I think. I mean, there were after that. And Nova
I suppose so.
That one Montserrat and stuff, and there were a couple others. But he, that might have been the original one. It's like right down. Like,
I think so.
Like an office building. It looked like.
Yeah, yeah. So what was that like for the kids? You know, Burlington kids, just like boom, Piccadilly Circus. You know, like middle of
crazy.
London.
Yeah, it was great.
That must have been nuts. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like I said, it was like this whirlwind thing because we were pretty young. You know, it was all like. Same way like in New York City with the Power Station, a couple records there with Nile Rodgers. It's like at the time you just like, well, okay, but then years later you think about it, and it's it's a big deal.
It really is, yeah. So because you can really hear the Nile influence on those later, Tell No Lies and songs like that. At the time, I wouldn't have even made that connection, but now listening to it, I go, of course this is Nile Rodgers.
Yeah, and you know what? At the time, I was so against it. I really hated that direction.
Really?
From the British, little prog rock background, and
sure.
all of a sudden, A&M Records is going like, oh, you got to work with this Nile guy. And but up to that point, he was just doing the Bowie record, the Let's Dance record.
Yeah.
So before that, it was all like, Donna Summers and
right.
chic stuff. And I'm going, what? What's that got to do with us? It's just so wrong, right? But in retrospect, it ended up being, one of the best moves we made.
But you're absolutely right.
I mean, I don't know if you've heard all these stories, but I'll tell them anyway.
No, I
remember flying down to meet Nile, and he was working on the Let's Dance record at the Power Station.
Crazy.
I get there, and I wanted to meet Bowie. That's why I wanted to go. So
sure,
I'm sitting back in the booth, and they're recording, and I'm watching, and hours go by, and I keep looking, and Bowie never showed up. I mean, I was so disappointed. And I went home so pissed off. I didn't care. But meanwhile, the whole day was like Stevie Ray Vaughan standing beside me doing solos and stuff. Like,
wow.
What an idiot. Right? But he wasn't that famous yet, right? He wasn't really in the mainstream yet.
Just some guitar player from Texas.
Some guy, whatever.
Wow.
He must have been really young then too.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
That was before he took off. Like he was offered the tour or something like that, but he decided to decline because he was in his own thing or whatever. Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. So, and we're talking New York in what year is this?
When went there, 83 or 84, 83, I think.
That's the real New York. That's before the Disneyfied,
I hear
Times
it's cleaner
Square.
than Toronto now.
Right?
Yeah,
it's pretty surprising. Yeah, we used to go down and play and be terrified our gear was going to get stolen or our car, our van was going to get stolen.
Yeah.
Now it's like those areas, like the Bowery, it's all nice restaurants and you're like, what the hell? It just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know you can hear Nile on. Was Nile play at all on those records, or was he sort of like?
No, he did a little bit. He kind of insisted on it back then.
Yeah.
He always wanted to do a little bit, and I'm kind of glad he did. He did his signature kind of.
Yeah.
I still have that guitar, and actually, somebody was asking me, did he use his what's it called what do they call his guitar?
The Hitmaker or something like that,
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I think he did, but he was at Tokai Copies for some reason. He got an endorsement with Tokai. But
weird.
My old Strat from that time kind of looks like his now, the way it's worn, right? It's
Totally, yeah.
It just all I got to put is a silver pickguard on it. And,
totally, yeah.
I would have used that back then, but now I would have played on it. And
that's great.
Yeah. But you know what? It's really funny because I got to meet him since then. Back then, he was kind of aloof and this cool guy. He'd come to the studio in like a 3-piece suit.
Really?
He hardly touched the board. He had a guy named Jason Crisaro who became a producer in his own right, and he kind of did all the work and all the engineering. And now walk in, just go like, turn this little, just touch a few dials. But he was doing something. I remember him being on the calculator because they were using "We Are Family" or something in a Coke commercial or something.
Wow.
So he was in his own space, space all the time. But then meeting him years later, and he went through a lot with cancer and health stuff. And,
mm-hmm.
He was opening for the Duran Duran tour, and with Chic. I mean, but at that time, I think he had just done their new album, another one of theirs.
Right.
And when I got there, because I said, I want to come see you. I've already bought tickets. I don't ask for free tickets. I think it's kind of weird. But he said, I'll get you backstage and stuff. Okay, so I got there, and I get there, there's this little strip of paper, and I started unfolding it. It's like a long, like this. Instructions to come on stage at a certain time.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So I got this thing. That's the first time we've seen each other in like 35 years. I got this great video where, and my fiance at the time and we just got to walk down. We're like right behind him, and there's a moment we recognize each other, and we talked after the show, and he was like a completely different guy. He's so humble and thankful, to be doing what he's doing. He said that like a couple of years before that, they weren't getting booked, and all of a sudden that Nashik was back to playing 100,000 people in Japan or whatever. And his
crazy,
life,
right?
We thought he was dead. He was ready. He was making his last plans for his life.
Jeez.
And stuff. But I got to tell you, not to toot my own horn, but he gave us one of the best compliments anybody could ever give. This is Nile Rodgers, right? So we're backstage at the I know it was called back then. It was like not like the Budweiser stage, in Toronto, the outdoor thing there.
Yeah, I know somebody.
Yeah, we're backstage, and he's got some other friends. Me, Gord, we're talking, and his keyboard player knew Rob Proust, from the Spoons, because they worked on Broadway together and musicals and stuff. And so I started talking, and he said, "Yeah, I came down there. I went to see. He was with Sting, and they went to see Culture Club at the Palladium. Remember the Palladium in New York?
Of course, yeah.
There was an old church. Oh no, that was a different place. That was the
Limelight was an old church.
It went, So anyways, we opened for them, and there's a knock at the door. There's Sting and Nile Rodgers again. A bunch of kids going like, "Oh, we kind of knew Sting, but who's this guy?" He was telling us how he wanted to do the band, right? And that day at the Budweiser thing, he's telling his friends, we went and saw Culture Club because they wanted me to produce them, and he said he didn't really feel it. But I really liked the opening band. This is the best. This is like one word, best compliment of my life. You know what he said? When the Spoons came on, they were the shit. That's the best.
Yeah.
Hearing from Nile, right?
Yeah, totally. Wow. Now, I mean, Nile is a massively respected guy, now, and I can understand that Let's Dance in 100% R&B world. Like, you mean you want that guy to produce us? Like, like that. Once he did like Let's Dance and the Duran Duran stuff, it became more of like a wider spectrum for him.
Yeah. There's stuff I still discover now, and you go, "Oh, this guy." I never thought about it. Yeah, but that's his guitar. You can just
you can always hear that. Yeah.
Or Blondie or whatever.
Yeah,
it's in there.
All the chic guys, because Bernard Edwards or Tony Thompson, you hear those guys on all kinds of other artists' stuff all the time. Yeah, but
let's go back to the start. So you and Sandy were actually a couple when you started Spoons, or no?
Yeah, we were just right out of high school. We both played in the high school band. She played the trumpet, I played the saxophone.
Oh, wow. No way! Wow.
So we started a little band on the side, and it was right out of school.
What's that like, playing with a girl that I always wonder, like in the Fleetwood Mac sense of like you're not together anymore, because I know you guys were like split up by like romantic traffic or something like that, weren't you?
Yeah, right during the making of that. Like I tell people,
and it's like
if you watch
things
that
are
video,
taking off.
See it. You can see it.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
in the video.
Nice. That sucks.
If you watch romantic traffic and think of that fact that we just, we don't look at each other. We're always looking off into space, like.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that video is probably the lowest budget, no script video we did. It was just a handheld camera in the subways, but because of that, it's like a window into our souls, because it was just us, like just.
I bet.
Walking around
but then you break up and you decide that you should keep the band together.
Yeah.
That's even more amazing.
We were friends before. We were in a band before, the progressive rock band. We weren't a couple. And we realized we put so much into this. We're like, and it's pretty amazing. But she was always one of the guys. She wasn't gonna like.
And she's no joke. She's no joke of a player, man. She can throw down.
Those bass lines are.
She's still one of my favorite bass players. Like she's very melodic, and she recently she's one of the Spectre usually, Spectre basses, right?
Yeah.
She actually has, Sting had the first #1. They were handmade back then by to order, like from New York, whatever. She has a #2 because she wanted the white one. Bernard who got her really into it. He had a pink one that we did most of the recording. And Bernard really taught her a lot about, because at that point she played like a prog rock person, which is like a third instrument almost, right?
Right, yeah.
It was like keyboard played one melody, guitar played one melody, very few chords, and then the bass, and you had all this stuff going on. So he started with the bass and the groove, and so he took her actually bass shopping, got her kind of the Spectre. Yeah, she's very, very good, and she's on the Spectre. She's one of the female Spectre, under the Spectre in the family, or whatever. She was just told she's the longest using continuous Spectre user in history. So that's pretty cool.
I know, it's impressive. I mean, everybody had a crush on Sandy back then. Like, who's she? But she's like, but she was no joke. She could throw down, and we were like,
really good.
Yeah,
and the bass was always so predominant in the mix. Like,
I
was listening in my kitchen on my little Google Home speaker, and like you can hear the bass as loud as you can hear the snare.
Totally. It carries.
It carries
like
how they mix now again, right? I like that. That's mixes seem to be that way again, where it's all bottom end, the snare's like this big, right? Which is kind of it's a different way of doing things.
Totally,
yeah, for sure.
So Rob was like 15 back then, or something like that.
When he joined the band,
the keyboard player.
Put an ad in the local paper. He actually posted it recently. It just said like, band looking for keyboard player, got our own keyboard, and he actually come and seen us play the local library or something. So he was a fan.
Amazing.
With his dad, he used to have a little piece of paper from the liquor licensing board that he had to show at the bars.
Wow.
Right, because you can get into bars and stuff in Ontario if you're underage with a certain understanding or permit or whatever.
Yeah,
I used to do it as a kid. Yeah. So he would get out to see what he could at 15 years old. I mean, he wasn't as limited as you were in Saskatchewan or Alberta or whatever.
Oh, so it was that different, eh?
Yeah, no. I grew up in a family band, and we had to go to Ontario to play all the time because we could play in the taverns and bars there, but we couldn't in Saskatchewan.
Where so it'd be like Wild Toronto or Wild Ontario, right?
Definitely. But we had to leave on our breaks, right? We'd play a set of music. We'd have to go to the kitchen or up to the band room or something. That we didn't always do that, but those were the rules.
So you guys from all different parts of the country, or what? I'm confused. Like,
we're pretty much prairie folk. I'm originally from Saskatchewan, but I live in Las Vegas. Those two guys are in Los Angeles, but Corey's from Saskatchewan as well, and Shane's from Alberta. Darren is in Winnipeg. He's from Thunder Bay, but he lives in Winnipeg.
Oh, I would love to be in Las Vegas, California right now.
I thought you were going to say I'd love to be in Winnipeg. I was going to say, what the hell are you talking about?
Well, I'll show you.
Like 3 flock of Seagull shows, and somebody else had to sub in for me.
This is Vegas right now. This is Vegas right now. Just so
you don't want to be here right now.
Yeah,
that's all right. There's plenty of air conditioning.
Yeah, there is plenty of air conditioning. That's true. Yeah.
Like I always say, it's always easier to cool down than it is to warm up.
That is true. Yeah. As my wife always says, you don't have to shovel sunshine. That's what she
says. That's a song. That's a song right there.
It's a country song. You don't have to shovel sunshine. Yeah, I don't know.
Just double the farm.
Yeah. So Rob is on Broadway now? Whatever happened?
Yeah, it's been like for 30 years or something. He started off on, I think, with Fan of the Opera. He's done everything,
Wow, I think I heard something about that now that you mentioned it, because
he went from being like hero player to like #1 hero player. Now he's a conductor. He's the same guy too. He's like the same guy when he was 15 years old. He's got the same personalities. He's sort of like a big kid, and it's great.
So he relocated to New York City and just kind of got a gig and then worked his way up. That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
You have to get him on the show.
When we met him, he was like a prodigy on the piano.
I bet.
He just classically trained.
He could do all the programming with the synths and stuff too.
Oh yeah. Well, he learned pretty fast. I remember when he got the gig at Broadway. What he did, he got the score for I think it was Fan of the Opera, and he redid it completely with himself, like on synthesizer.
Oh
wow!
Yeah,
mental.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I remember he was in
qualified for the Spoons.
Yeah, I remember him being in Honeymoon Suite like later on, and I remember being like, "Hey, that's the dude from the Spoons." Like he was very recognizable that way.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. That's amazing. So tell us about the Flock of Seagulls. I want to hear how this came about. Like that. What an amazing.
We played together in '82 at the Police Picnic, which is the big one at the CNE Grandstand.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think there were 3 of them. That was the second one. We got like the biggest we ever played before that was like the concert hall with Simple Minds or something like less than 1,000. All of a sudden we were in front of almost 60,000 people. Right, it was pretty scary. And the other young band on the bill was Flock of Seagulls, and I was more blown away by them than some of the other stuff. Like what Paul Reynolds, the guitar thing is pretty iconic.
It is.
That whole delay chorus thing, like
Yeah.
I see articles where they say he and The Edge pretty well developed that, you know.
I
And he's
think
a
so.
lot cleverer than you think. Again, he's very simple. He's, you know, understating, which I really appreciate, you know, when people do that. But yeah, it's very, very clever. And I remember being really impressed by those guys. Didn't talk much, you know. And then like 37 years later, Mike came up to do a benefit thing in Mississauga. And he didn't bring his band because he just done the same thing in New York, where some 80s cover band learned some of his stuff, and he came up as a guest, and they raised money, blah, blah, blah. So they did the same thing here. So the Spoons learned a bunch of his songs. I didn't even really learn them. I just sort of know, you know, it's in my DNA, kind of that style. It's kind of the same thing. I got a JC 120 and some Boss pedals, you know, it was good. So, and I remember him just smiling and looking over all the time. And that was it. I didn't hear from him after that. And like a year later, we're traveling. My fiance at the time, we were actually in Rome, sitting in a little piazza with doves. It's like a movie, right? On the pizza and the glass of wine. And my phone goes beep beep and says, "Do you want to join the band?" I said, "Who's this?"
Random.
The Seagulls. And I said, "Sure, yeah." That was it. He doesn't say much. It's a very quiet.
That's so crazy.
I didn't replace Paul. But the guy who was with him had been with him like 20 years. And I have to say that this guy was like a session guy from LA, really good, you know, but he didn't understand it. He used like a Marshall stack and a Wolfgang guitar. No,
interesting.
It's not right. Not visually or aesthetic at all.
No.
You know? That's why I got the Firebird. I got the JC 120. I got all the old basic pedals. And people on tours kept coming up all the time going, "How do you get that sound?" With nothing, you know, very, I use even less now, you know. So
that's great.
Yeah, I think it's just because what I did with the Spoons is very similar, you know, like in thinking, you know, the textural sort of, you know, just
you're right. Though,
part of the tapestry kind of thing.
That is the kind of thing that you kind of either know or you don't know. I mean, I imagine any of us could sit down and really kind of woodshed on that in that world, but you came up on that, so you got that. You got that sorted. Yeah.
It became, you know, for sure, and we hit it off. You know, it's important to him that, you know, everybody gets on, and the band's from all over the place. Like he still lives in Liverpool, and he has a place in Florida, but the bass player is from San Diego.
Okay.
And the drummer from Portland, Oregon. So
really?
Really spread out.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
So I'm really I got on all those guys like immediately. It's like I hate to say something, but there's more sort of camaraderie than there is with the Spoons. There's like a girl in the band, which is ex-girl. You know, it's like a little kind of with the guys, you know what it's like when you're on a tour. The things you say and do when you're
sure, yeah.
Oh my God, it's just it's a different level. I love it. I really miss it right now. More than playing, between gigs and backstage and all that stuff. You know?
Yeah, I heard
this froze there for a second.
Yeah, I think it's kind of welcome to the internet. It's always something. But I heard in 2020 you guys were supposed to be doing like a 40th anniversary Spoons thing. Was that? That was a good year, right? That was shelved along with everything else.
So we're doing it this year. But again, it's only going to be a half a year. But we've done a whole bunch of things. You know, it's we put the best of out. You probably saw the repeatable, which is everything on it, and all the anthem years, because we did a bunch of records with Anthem SRO and those guys that were never put on any best of records because they couldn't get on board for some reason. So this has everything.
Great.
The thing I'm really cool about, and I really haven't talked about this yet, but we're getting further into the year. This is the best part. And this is the first time I'm ever going to mention this because we're trying to keep everything sort of staggered so we don't do everything at once. But in the middle summer, we have this next record, which is pretty well done already because I've got to know all these people on the road and whatever. We have all these other 80s bands covering our stuff, like doing their versions of our songs.
Really?
So everything from, you know, Flag of Seagulls to that happens, and Last Tiger, Gowan, and When in Rome from England. You know, remember the Promise? Band called Real Life from Australia. There's a punk band from LA that did Old Emotions, which is unbelievable.
Wow,
it sounds like Joy Division meets Bauhaus or something.
Cool.
So I should just go crazy, rip it apart, and make it your own. My favorite one, if you like heavier stuff, I know you know a guy named Rob Holiday. He's a Canadian. He's from England, but he lived in Canada for a little while. But he lives in England like the last 20 years, and is a producer and also guitar player or bass player for Marilyn Manson, The Prodigy, which I love. I love The Prodigy.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
And Gary Newman, he did his last record. So you should hear his version of Bridges Over Borders. Oh my god!
Oh wow!
Oh wow!
Think about like Prodigy, like Screamo, like it's just amazing. So and then we got Calvin doing like artists on the grand piano and strings come in and timpanis and stuff. So it's all over the place. And this is the record that I think is going to just blow people away. And what we're doing is because we can't really. I said, I'm not going to pay anybody. And there's 15 bands. Like, what are we going to do? So we're going to put it all toward the Unison Fund. That's helping the music industry in Canada.
Sure, yeah.
And so, and the slate people are behind it to match dollar for dollar what's raised and all that stuff. So we'll do something good with it.
That's amazing.
Cool.
I meant to ask you, going way back to the first recordings in like Hamilton with Daniel Lanois, like engineering. Yeah. Is that the studio that him and his brother had in Hamilton or whatever the hell that was?
Yeah, the Grand Avenue.
That's so crazy. Yeah, because my like I said, my in-laws are in Hamilton, so every time I go up there, I'm like, where was that? I don't even know. Is it still working as a proper studio?
I think so. Yeah. Somebody else bought it, but I know we've been so lucky with the people around us because we were different. Like I said, we weren't by far probably the most talented people, I think, but we definitely stood out. Like something strange. And he did the first record, and I don't think he even had anything with the two yet.
No.
I remember Brian Eno coming. Brian Eno worked at that studio quite a bit, doing ambient stuff and whatever. So that was kind of a cool thing. Our musical careers, and I remember going to McMaster University and doing like final exams and rushing down doing tracks at Grand Avenue and going home studying, going back and forth, knowing that I was never going to do anything other than music, right? But I had to finish, so
that's great.
It was pretty hard. At the same time, Sandy's going to Mohawk College taking accounting.
Wow.
Which of course came in real handy, right? She still does the accounting for the band, so.
Oh, good.
That's good. Nice to have. Man, that might probably solve a lot of problems having an accountant in your band. God.
Yeah, no, she was very smart. I remember in the 80s, a lot of money was wasted by other bands, like Platinum Blonde showed up everywhere with the limousines and stuff, whatever. And we did, right?
Of course
or
we
did. Get a big chunk of money for a big gig, and you say, "Where's the money?" So, no, we're going to spread it out and do like payroll kind of thing, and it's very smart. We made it last. We could take, how it was back then. You tour for a year, and then you take a year off to record and make videos. But we always had salary or bonuses, or whatever. So it was very smart, very boring but smart.
I like the way you say that. Like we should know that. You paid everybody and you made money, and it was like, when was this?
It wasn't extravagant.
Yeah. No, I know, but
not at all. It was very, what do you call it? Mature.
Yeah. It sounds like it. It sounds like it was handled properly. Well, this has been amazing. I don't know.
Stories than that, don't you? Actually, what we got.
I know we have a bad internet connection here, but because sometimes you're cutting in and out, we're probably freezing for you too.
Yeah, freezing
but
too, yeah.
Before we go, I would love to ask you about arias and symphonies, because that to me is one of my favorite songs of the 80s. And like Shane, Spoons weren't a band that I would typically gravitate towards as a young teenager. I was kind of into, shredding, all the glam rock on guitar and that sort of thing. It's my brother Kevin that had the Spoons, the Arias and Symphonies album, and would play that tune. And I love that tune. I played it out. It would be like that song and then Wind 'Em Up by Saga, like back to back, just over and over and over.
Yeah,
wow. And it's such an epic song, and it's so unusual because there's so many different parts and it kind of goes everywhere, and there's all kinds of different melodies. How did that happen?
Yeah, it's more like a musical,
It really is.
It is. It's got all these parts, and I think it was our effort to come out of that first record we did with Dan Lanois, which is very sort of raw and talking headsy and sort of very simple. We're trying really hard to make a statement, and for me, that's like a brick in the wall, like lyrically too. That's what our Symphonies is about. It's sort of like, is it hard to be the kind of man you want to be? So it's about growing up in school as kids and being told how to be and fighting that, and so we had sort of a statement. It was almost like, hey, we got something to say, kind of thing.
In fact, I have something to ask you about the lyrics, because I'm wondering if you were talking about predestination. Everything's arranged before it is played.
Exactly.
Do you believe in that?
Yeah, that's what. See, then that's what it is. An aria is when it's like a solo of like a soloist in a big an opera or something. It stands out, so it's your sort of moment to shine in the big symphony, right?
Totally.
That's what that is. So it's kind of weird for a band's first kind of big album. We're not singing about drugs and rock and roll and girls and parties. You know, but for that reason,
record
people
company
are like, wow, you know, it's just like Landlines on Broadway or Pink Floyd or something. He's got the whole thing had a theme to it, you know. But yeah, so
it seems like the kind of song that a record company would say, "No, next."
Oh no, yeah. When we got signed to A&M Records in Los Angeles, and they this is really cool and all this stuff. But I swear to God, I remember one time at the end of a tour, one of the big execs coming up. Well, the guy who signed us, by the way, was the same guy who signed the Doors.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he came up to me and said, "Oh, you guys are really good." But he put his arm around me at a party. He said, "But can you write something we can play on the radio?" Oh, okay, sure. And that's when Romantic Traffic happened and Tom Lies and all that stuff.
Sure. Yeah. Well,
it's a great song, and thanks for providing that for my soundtrack in my youth.
Which one of you guys is a bass player? Was there a bass player? No.
He's not here.
Oh, he's not there.
Yeah,
I wrote that on the bass guitar because there's so many changes.
Did you?
In it.
Oh, wow.
I recommend that as another way to write. If you after a while you don't. I want to switch so you want to switch. You can shut off. You forget everything because you get jaded and repetitive, and your fingers always do the same thing. But the cool thing about writing on a bass is your brain fills in the chords, right? So I just worry about the root notes, and you can sort of suss out the rest later, right? So that's for that reason that song's got so many bits in it, right? It's like,
that's very interesting.
Yeah,
Wow.
Never thought of that.
Yeah, try it because then you can get stuff done really quickly, and then go back later and say, "Oh, that's a minor, or that's a major, that's whatever."
Yeah, totally. So, lastly, let's end on what are you doing? Are you drinking lots of hydration? Are you like exercising? Why do you look so great? I gotta know.
Yeah, you're being funny. This COVID thing has taken years off me. Believe me.
Well, me too. Me too, dude.
It's like, seriously, yeah.
My walk from the couch to the fridge back to the couch is about the most exercise I've been getting. But now it's
I'm feeling hopeful though. You know, for a while there I was like just moping around and not gardening and stuff. And now I'm starting to polish up the guitars and put new strings on them because it's on the horizon, right? It's gonna. I'll be joining the walk again on July 9th, I think.
Okay.
Great.
In California, I think. Like I said, I just missed a bunch. I'm going to miss 2 more at the end of this month, but the borders are opening and I'll be able to join them again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's fantastic. Great. Well, let us know when you're coming down, because if we're in the hood, I'd love to come and take that in. That'd be awesome.
Oh, excellent.
We'll make good use of abusing your guest list and deli tray. Just kidding. Who are all these Canadian jackasses?
For the spoons, that's like V8 and then carrot sticks. So that's not too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, us too. It's a lot of water, a lot of hydrating. Yeah. Okay, great. Well, that was fun, man. I'm really happy we got to do this because, we're big fans and we're looking forward to.
Thank you very much. And I like talking guitars. That's always good.
Well, and on that note too, I mean, we want to thank you for coming by and love the stories. And we can't go without mentioning you had a book come out. So if anybody, I'm sure there's lots more stories they want to catch up on.
Yeah. Like I tell people, the 80s were like 10 years of Halloween. There's so many stories in there.
I love that.
Spoon fan is all the stuff, that juicy stuff. Sometimes I call it 50 Shades of Spoons. It was like, even though I don't get into that stuff very much. It's actually more like a Stephen King thing. I think I'm a really good writer. I don't brag about my songwriting, but as a writer, I think I know how to write. And I think it's like unfolds like a story about a weird kid and why he ends up being the way he is, and being influenced by the strangest things, whether it's the Twilight Zone or Disney or weird movies so a lot of details and strange things that were other autobiographies and about music we'll talk about, the shagging the birds and the parties and the drugs. This gets into the weird little details about like that first little home stereo I recorded, used as an amplifier and the strange songs my mom would play around the house and growing up in Germany in a Gothic place like Cologne, which is like, out of Hunchback of Notre Dame almost, but how it twists the mind of a young kid, and just.
That's rad.
Yeah, and I think it's a cool story. I think you enjoy it.
Did you make an audiobook with it? Did you record? No.
You should. You should just. I mean, it's easy enough to do now. Just sit here at home. You could have been doing it over COVID.
you get somebody else to read it, right?
Well, yeah, but people do appreciate the author.
Good voice, like what's his name?
Morgan Freeman or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Spoon-fed.
I like it when it's the actual
Spoon-fed by
I don't know who these people are, but
Good Depp was a simple man.
Oh, that's great. Well, it was so much fun, man. Well, like I said, when you get to California, look us up, and we'll hopefully we can connect like real people.
Yep.
I can't see you got a Flock of Seagulls concert, but you're welcome to come if you want to.
I'd love to. Have
you ever seen him hairspray that hair up like that?
Yeah, this gets pretty high, man. The last time, to be honest, I saw Flock of Seagulls in Edmonton back in the 90s, and his hair was longer than mine is now.
I mean, I'll shaved off completely.
Oh, is it? Yeah, his hair was crazy long, and I was like, whoa, when he came out. I was like, yeah. No, I saw them in Edmonton at somewhere on White Avenue, but yeah, they were great.
Not good. Excellent.
I'll come see that. But you know what? The guitar player wasn't right. They needed Gord Deppe.
There you go.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, Gord, thank you.
Thanks for hanging with us. And again, thanks everybody for tuning in. And we'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye, guys.
Yes.
Thanks,
See you
Gordon.
next Tuesday.